It was National Houseplant Appreciation Day on the 10th of January, and I know we love all of our plants, but what comes to mind if I ask you what are the plants that really catch your attention, or the ones that you stop to admire every time you go into the room that they're in? I'm going to run through some of my favourites. We'll see if you agree with what I choose. Also, one is quite basic, maybe a little bit underrated, but it is one that gets my attention every time. This particular video, the schedule was meant to be for the Philodendron Birkin Pink, as I'm holding here. So if you watched my previous two videos, you'll know that this is due. However, the leaf still hasn't opened up yet. So I'm going to leave this. This will be a future video just when that leaf opens. We are in the middle of winter at the moment in the UK, so it might take a little while until that's actively growing again, but I will keep an eye on it, and that video will be imminent once that leaf opens. But as it was the National Houseplant Appreciation Day earlier this week, it seemed fitting to run through those instead. So what plants came to mind when I asked that question? Drop them in the comments below, as I'd love to see what plants you're currently appreciating. This is the first one for me, the Aglaonema Crete. As you can see, it's got these really bright, striking leaves. Nice mix of dark green and light green with mottled red or pink, and the red or pink outline with red stems. So you can see the wonderful colours on those leaves, and it really brightens up the spot that it's in. And I think I've matched it quite well with the pot to match the colours of the plant. So if you've watched my previous video, you will have seen this in the plant haul unboxing. I'll link it at the end just in case you haven't and you want to check out the other plants that I received. So this is the Epipremnum mandula, or happy leaf pothos, and as you can see, this has amazing bright leaves with this mix of greens, whites and cream, so lots of variegation on those leaves, and really nice big leaves for a sort of pothos plant or an Epipremnum plant. So this really brightens up the spot that it's got, and it really contrasts against the other Epipremnums, which are mostly darker shades of green. So this one really stands out and catches my attention every time I look at the Epipremnums. So this next one, I can't quite put my finger on why it stands out in the collection. It does look fairly standard. It's a green plant, green leaves, veining markings on the leaves, but it does catch my attention every time I walk past it. And I think it might be a mix of maybe the size of the leaves, because they are quite large and they fan out, so they really show off the pattern on the leaves, but also this uniformity, this deep green of the leaves and the prominence of the pattern, the veining pattern. I think that's what makes it contrast against the other plants that are in the collection, almost colour blocks it out with this green. So that's what makes it stand out, I think. But it is a really lovely plant. It gives really lush jungle vibes with these big green leaves. And also, I'm not sure if you've ever felt the leaves of a Ficus ordinary. If you've got one, or if you haven't, maybe go to a garden centre or houseplant shop and have a feel if you find one. They're almost like sheets of velvet, so I wasn't expecting that when I picked it up. But very lovely plant, very traditional looking, but it does still stand out. If you want jungle vibes in your home, this is the plant to get. I always stop and look at the leaves on this. As you can see, they are really glossy, wonderful deep green colour, and they've got a really unusual, quite rigid form to them, and this bumpy texture to them with ridges which really help capture, or catch should I say, not capture, catch the light and show off the colour. And sometimes in the light as well, you'll see between the sort of ridges and the shapes of the leaves, the different shades of the dark green and lighter greens, and almost some what looks like gold, depending on how it catches the light as well. This can trail or climb if it's got support, so this really can give you those wonderful jungle vibes with these lush deep green leaves, and it's just one that I absolutely love. I killed my last one, unfortunately, so I found this at the Green Rooms market a few months ago, and it's doing well. It's got new growth on it, so fingers crossed I can keep this alive and get even more of these wonderful leaves. Now, I did actually forget to tell you what the plant was called, so this goes by many different names. You can find it under any of these names if you look for it online, whichever you think is the right one to use. So Monstera Peru, Monstera Carstenianum, and the Epipremnum pinnatum Marble Planet. Search for any of those and you will find this plant. Now, I couldn't do a video about houseplant appreciation and not include the Philodendron Painted Lady, so this is fairly new to the collection. If you've watched my recent few videos, you'll have seen I ordered this, I think, in a Black Friday sale, and the wrong plant was actually delivered. So this one came to me a couple of weeks later, I think it was, and this, I couldn't be happy with the plant that was received. So the Painted Lady has wonderful, quite bright leaves for a philodendron, dark greens, light greens, and sort of a mottled gold across the leaves, and this wonderful pink and red stems and veins on the leaves. This one's got lots of new leaves on the way, really good aerial roots too, and hopefully the new growth will continue into the new year, and I'll have to pot that up or maybe put some more support in place, maybe even propagate it with all of the new growth that's on there. So this was on my wish list for quite a while and finally got it at an amazing price. Again, if you want to check out that video, there is a video dedicated to this plant on my channel, so you can check that out if you wish to. This is definitely up there with my favourite plants in the collection. So this next one you might recognise from the background of the video, so I've just brought it forward. This is another one, just like the first plants that I showed, that really brightens up the space that it's in. This has got wonderful light lime green or gold leaves, depending on sort of how mature the leaves are, and so many of them. It's like a blanket of leaves, all these vines coming down, lots of new growth on the ends as well, so lots of new leaves on the way. So I might see how far they can trail down, and then, or maybe even trim some back and propagate them, we'll see. So I've actually forgot exactly what variety this is. It's a Philodendron scandens gold or Philodendron scandens lime. I can't quite remember. Maybe you can correct me or let me know which one it is if you recognise it. Like I said, the leaves are a mix of sort of lime green and gold, so it could be either. But do share in the comments below if you think it's one or other. Either way, it's got some amazing brightly coloured leaves that contrast against the others in the collection and really make this stand out. So the next one made the list because it is just so unusual. It's very different compared to the other epipremnums in the collection, and the leaves are very different to, I would say, most other houseplant leaves, because it looks almost like it's trying to do lots of different things but not quite making its mind up on one. So you'll see the leaves are very, very rigid. They're all standing up. They are very rigid in terms of their structure and texture. If I bring it a little bit closer so you can see it in the camera, you'll see it's got this wonderful deep green colour, and the leaves are glossy in the light, but they also have quite a rough texture with the structure of the leaf, and some of the leaves look almost like they should have fenestrations, but they don't have fenestrations, where they've started to grow little bits on the backs of the leaves. So like I said, it looks a little bit like it's trying to do lots of things, but it's not quite deciding on one. So this is one that I could really stop and look at for ages and just look at all the differences in the leaves, and also explore sort of how it is changing, because some of the leaves are starting to open up. So I wonder if that'll change as the plant matures, because it has only been in the collection for a little while. So this one is the Epipremnum Shangri-La. So if you do decide to look for it yourself and see how the plants maybe differ as they age and mature, or if maybe you've got one, maybe you can comment below what to expect with this plant. Does it eventually develop fenestrations, or does it just stay as a mix of these really unusual leaves? Now, I did say one of the plants was going to be quite basic, maybe underrated, and this one is not a particularly rare plant. You can get it almost anywhere that you're looking for plants. This is the Zamioculcas zamiifolia, or ZZ plant, as you might have recognised it in the shot. It's got these amazing glossy green leaves, and what I like most about this is perhaps the structure of the plant, the uprightness of the stems, and even the leaves as well, coming off in pairs all the way up the stem. So it really adds some lovely structure and really nice lush colour to the collection. What I really like most about this plant is just how easy it is to care for. Anyone could care for this. I've had some of these that I've completely forgotten about in other rooms in the house, and they're still growing, they're still happy and healthy because they don't need that much water, only infrequent watering. They are okay in low light situations. So long as they have natural light, they are in a room with a window with natural light, they are okay in lower light situations, and the colour just really brightens up the collection, or even if it's on its own, it makes a really good statement plant too. So this is a really versatile plant, really easy to look after plant, and because they're not very rare, they're also really cheap, so you can add one to your collection if you don't already have one for a very affordable price. So that's why this has made my appreciated plant list. So what's on your plant appreciation list? Share them in the comments below. I hope you found that video interesting in seeing what's on my list. If you'd like to see the previous video of the plant haul unboxing and see what other plants I received, then check that out next. I'll link it at the end for you. If you have found this interesting and you like plant related content, consider hitting the subscribe button. I'll have new videos every week. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll respond to everyone. And as always, thank you for watching Grow Your Wellbeing.